Good morning. Thank you for joining us on this 11th day of November in 2023 to honor our veterans who served, who were injured, who were prisoners of war, and particularly those who sacrificed their lives in the defense of freedom and opposition to aggression. This we observe on the 11th day of November each year on Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day is observed in many countries, but it's a particularly serious and important annual day in the Canadian calendar. Remembrance Day first was observed after World War I. Since then, it has been expanded in its scope to honor and recognize all those who served in military conflicts, not only in World War I, also in World War II, also in the Korean War, also in peacekeeping operations, and also in other operations such as Afghanistan. As a good corporate citizen, the Canadian Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines observes Remembrance Day each year. We do this in the form of a pre-recorded audio-visual presentation. And this year's presentation will include showing you the statement by the Prime Minister of Canada on this day, an audio-visual message from the Minister of Veterans Affairs, an audio-visual message from the President of the Royal Canadian Legion that represents veterans, and an audio-visual message from the Ambassador of Canada to the Philippines. The Ambassador will also invite us all to join with him in observing 2 minutes of silence starting exactly at 11 a.m., in this case, Philippines time. As in the past years, we also prepare an audio-visual presentation focusing on some particular aspect of Canadian military history and the service of our veterans. Last year, we focused on the battles in World War I. This year, our presentation will focus on the roles and contributions of the Royal Canadian Navy, the Canadian Army, and the Royal Canadian Air Force in World War II. Following observation of the 2 minutes of silence, we will have a message from the Canadian Defense Attaché, now stationed in the Philippines, and a short audio-visual recording of the role of the Canadian Armed Forces today. As a footnote, the background bagpipe music to this presentation is the famous Lament for the Old Sword. This was a very old composition centuries ago that basically recognized the role of a sword and the wielder of a sword in conflict. And it recognized the many battles that this sword and this person basically participated in, and now laid to rest.
Hello, I'm Ginette Petitpas-Taylor, Canada's Minister of Veterans Affairs. La Semaine des vétérans et le Jour du souvenir sont l'occasion pour les Canadiennes et Canadiens de se souvenir des personnes qui ont servi notre pays. From the wars and conflicts of the 20th century to today's more modern military operations, hundreds of thousands of Canadians have sacrificed for global peace and security. They deserve our recognition, our support, and yes, our gratitude. Cette année, alors que nous soulignons le 75e anniversaire des activités de maintien de la paix des Nations Unies, nous réfléchissons également au courage des gardiens de la paix du Canada et à leur longue histoire de défense de la paix partout dans le monde. We have a collective duty to remember and to honor the sacrifice of all those who have served our country in times of war, military conflict, and peace. Nous honorons aujourd'hui leur courage et nous réaffirmons notre devoir de leur rendre hommage pour les générations à venir. N'oublions jamais, lest we forget.
Hi, bonjour. I'm Bruce Julian. As Dominion President of the Royal Canadian Legion, I am so pleased to know that you are thinking about the importance of remembrance. It is you who will help ensure that the tradition of honoring those who have died in military service to Canada will continue. This year also marks the 75th anniversary of the first United Nations peacekeeping mission. It is important to remember that Canada's military role also includes creating and maintaining peace. The red poppy is our symbol of remembrance. It is worn by millions of people in Canada during the National Poppy Campaign each year. It is a visual thank you to the 120,000 military and RCMP veterans who have fallen while serving our country in war and in peace. It is their sacrifices that have given us the lives of freedom we enjoy today. Simply by wearing a poppy during the remembrance period, you are showing your respect. This year, you can also go to poppystories.ca and use your smartphone to scan your poppy and learn the story of a Canadian veteran. It is a way to stay connected to our veterans and learn a little bit about their personal lives. This year, I encourage you to attend a ceremony if possible, or watch the national ceremony organized by the Legion online at legion.ca. But wherever you are on November the 11th, please close your eyes for 2 minutes of silence and think of our veterans with gratitude. And when you have a chance to meet a Canadian veteran, they will appreciate hearing you say, "Thank you for your service." May we never forget. Thank you. Merci.
Dear friends, this year marks the 150th year of remembrance of the end of the First World War, the 70th year of remembrance of the end of the Second World War, and the 70th year of remembrance from the cessation of hostilities of the Korean War. Sadly, we are now at a point where there are not very many veterans of these wars left, and with the passing of time, we are also at the risk of losing the memories, stories of sacrifice, and the guidance from these most noble veterans. The overall peace we have come to appreciate today can be directly attributable to the selfless sacrifices of these warriors. In Canada, while we have traditionally focused our remembrance more on the battles and campaigns of the great wars of the 20th century, and with a particular focus on Europe and the defeat of Nazism, we'd be remiss if we were to neglect the trials and tribulations of Canadians who fought and died in the defense of freedom and liberty here in the Indo-Pacific. And so today, from my vantage here in the Philippines, I would like to reflect on Canada's commitment to the Indo-Pacific and pay homage to those brave men and women who sacrificed for the freedom and liberty of our allies in this region of the world. At its height, during the Second World War, Canada had more than 10,000 soldiers, sailors, and airmen serving in Asia and the Pacific. The RCAF alone had over 3,100 personnel in the Pacific Theater. From Hong Kong through Ceylon, from the Aleutian Islands to Burma, on land, sea, and in the air, Canadians served to help ensure that the peoples of Asia and the Pacific were free from tyranny and oppression. As we are all aware, Canada has never shied away from challenges. Today, Canada and the Philippines remain steadfast partners in various areas of cooperation, including in the political, development, and commercial spheres, and we are tremendously proud of our robust and deepening people-to-people ties. Members of each branch of our armed forces now regularly train and work together in a growing relationship based on fellowship and camaraderie. Images of remembrance are all around us, in the poppies that we wear and in the soldiers' uniforms and via their gleaming medals. Each one tells its own story. So with these and other reminders around us today, I ask everyone to pause and take a moment to reflect on people you may know, your family or friends' family, and indeed all of those who have served, continue to serve, and especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Let me conclude today by reciting the act of remembrance. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Today, as we should every day, we remember those who served, sacrificed, fought, and died for our freedoms. Today, we thank and salute those who made the ultimate sacrifice. We will never forget. We must never forget. We will remember you. I am honored as Canada's new resident defense attaché to the Philippines to be able to share with this community this important day of reflection and remembrance. So I ask everyone in this busy world of ours today, with its many distractions, to pause. To pause, to take a few minutes to reflect on the people you may know, your family, fathers, brothers, sisters, cousins, or friends and their families who have served and maybe sacrificed. Remember them in your hearts on this day. I will end with a quote that I love that says so much with so few words. A single poppy has the soul of 1,000 heroes and the tears of 1,000,000 loved ones. We will remember them. Today, I am also honored to be able to introduce a number of short videos of what the current generation of soldiers, sailors, airmen, and women of the Canadian Armed Forces are up to. They make us proud.
Commander Nicole Robichaux has served with the Royal Canadian Navy for 2 decades. but neither she nor any of her 65 crew members have ever seen anything like this.
Margaret Brooke went and poked our nose into the polar ice cap, just seeing the expanse of the Canadian Arctic. It was quite fantastic.
HMCS Margaret Brooke is part of a new fleet of Canadian icebreakers, tasked with patrolling Canada's Arctic, including the full length of the Northwest Passage.
So we went to the northern tip of Admon Rings Island.
Sailing to the edge of the map, the furthest north that any Canadian patrol ship has ever dared to venture.
We know where the land is by grace of satellite imagery, but what's under the water is still very mysterious in some places.
The melting Arctic ice is revealing a vast network of uncharted waters, and the crew finds themselves in a tight spot.
Low-lying rock, we can see it red 1-0.
The ship, about the size of a football field, is attempting to squeeze through this narrow passage, just 1 kilometer wide.
If the strait had been somewhere like Vancouver Harbor, we would know exactly how fast the water was moving in what time and what direction. Whereas up here, we might not have any idea if there's 100 meters or 500 meters or 1 meter of water. You don't want to hot dog your way through a transit like that without doing the research and having as much prior planning as you can.
So it's all hands on deck, teams double-checking their trajectory, while others scan for icebergs. Even for this Arctic vessel, ice that's more than a meter thick could breach the hull.
Sea ice moves very rapidly. Winds and swells and seas really play a part in where that ice goes and where we could see it next.
The Arctic is warming more than twice as fast as the global average, opening up new shipping lanes and revealing a treasure trove of natural resources. And there are fears that if Canada doesn't assert its presence and ownership of this region, another country will.
There is a pressing need to modernize our continental defenses.
Last summer, Ottawa announced plans to build a new Arctic surveillance system over the next 20 years. Canada is also purchasing 15 new warships to work in tandem with its 6 icebreakers, including Margaret Brooke. Margaret Brooke isn't built for combat, armed with just a single gun. But the crew believes their presence alone sends a message.
We are here to protect our northern waters.
Serving an important mission, to see and be seen. Jeff Semple, Global News, aboard HMCS Margaret Brooke.
Thank you again for joining us on this 11th day of November in 2023 to honor our veterans who served, who were injured, who were taken prisoners of war, and particularly those who sacrificed their lives in the defense of freedom and opposing aggression. Let us invite you all not just to remember them today, but remember them every day for protecting these values in our culture. Thank you so much.